The train doors hissed open at City Hall Station. I clutched my son's small hand tightly. Lucas, only 5 years old, looked up at me with those wide, trusting eyes. Suddenly, a man blocked our path. It was Caleb, my partner. His face was a mask of cold fury I did not recognize. He reached for Lucas. "He's not your son," Caleb said, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. The words were like a physical blow, stealing the air from my lungs. Confusion rippled through the crowded MRT cabin. People stared, their phones already emerging from pockets and bags. I pulled Lucas behind me, a protective instinct just surging through me. Caleb's accusation hung in the air, thick and poisonous. "She's lying!" he shouted, pointing a trembling finger at me. "She took him!" Whispers erupted around us. The crowd was a sea of judging eyes, their expressions shifting from curiosity to suspicion. My world felt like it was tilting on its axis. This couldn't be happening. This was the man I loved, the man who had promised me a family, a future. Now he was painting me as a monster in front of strangers. Lucas began to cry, his small body shaking against my leg. I tried to soothe him, but my own heart was hammering against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of fear and disbelief. Just 2 years ago, our life felt like a dream. I was a dedicated primary school teacher living a quiet life in Bedok. I met Caleb, a charismatic architect, and fell deeply, quickly in love. He was charming and attentive, promising me the world. He adored Lucas, treating him as his own from the very beginning. We would spend weekends at East Coast Park, building sandcastles and laughing until our sides ached. Caleb had been my rock, my partner in every sense. He spoke of forever, of officially adopting Lucas, of giving us the stable family life I had always craved for my son. Our love story seemed perfect, a fairy tale unfolding in the heartlands of Singapore. I believed I had finally found happiness. I let Caleb into my home, into my life, and most importantly, into my son's heart. He moved into our cozy Bedok flat, and for a while everything was perfect. We ate dinner together every night. Caleb would help Lucas with his drawings while I prepared our meals. The small apartment was filled with warmth and laughter. I trusted him completely, never imagining the darkness lurking beneath his charming smile. I had no reason to doubt his love or his intentions for our small, happy family. The change was gradual at first, almost unnoticeable. Caleb started coming home late from work, his excuses vague. He became distant, his phone always angled away from me. An unsettling quiet began to fill the spaces once occupied by our easy laughter. I tried to talk to him, to understand what was wrong, but he would just brush me off, blaming stress from a big project. I noticed important documents disappearing from my files. Lucas's birth certificate, my old hospital records, photos of my pregnancy. When I asked Caleb about them, he feigned ignorance, a strange, cold look in his eyes that sent a shiver down my spine. The warmth in our home had evaporated, replaced by a chilling tension. The betrayal when it came was swift and brutal. One afternoon, a letter arrived. It was from a lawyer. Caleb was seeking sole custody of Lucas. The letter contained a horrifying, impossible claim that I was not Lucas's biological mother. He alleged I had illegally adopted the child. The world spun. He had been planning this for months, secretly meeting with lawyers, stealing my documents to build his case of lies. He was trying to erase me, to steal my son, the most precious person in my life. The man I had loved and trusted was a stranger, a cruel manipulator who had turned our life into a lie. I was forced out of my own home. The locks changed overnight. Caleb's accusations spread like wildfire online. Friends and colleagues saw the posts, the carefully cropped photos, the fabricated story he had woven. People I had known for years began to look at me with doubt. I was painted as an unstable, deceptive woman. The public shame was a constant weight, a heavy cloak of humiliation I could not escape. Every whisper, every stare felt like a new wound. I was alone, fighting a battle for my child against a torrent of lies. My heart was broken, but my spirit refused to shatter completely. For Lucas, I had to be strong. My days became a frantic search for truth. I spent hours at my parents' home, digging through old boxes, desperate to find anything that could prove my motherhood. I needed evidence, something concrete to fight Caleb's web of deceit. I revisited Singapore General Hospital, where Lucas was born, hoping to find records, a witness, anything. The administrative staff were polite but unhelpful, citing privacy protocols. Hope began to dwindle with each closed door. It felt like I was screaming into a void, my voice lost against the powerful narrative Caleb had constructed. But I would not give up. I had to find a way back to my son. Just as despair began to set in, a flicker of hope appeared. A nurse at Singapore General Hospital, a kind-faced woman named Mrs. Tan, overheard my tearful plea at the records counter. She remembered me from 5 years ago. She remembered the difficult birth, the tiny baby boy, and the overwhelming love on the new mother's face. Mrs. Tan approached me quietly after her shift. "I remember you," she said softly, her voice filled with compassion. "I was there when your son was born. I can help you." For the first time in weeks, I felt a genuine tear of relief trace a path down my cheek. Someone believed me. Someone knew the truth. Mrs. Tan explained that while official records were hard to access, she had kept her personal nursing logs from that time. It was not standard practice, but she was meticulous. She promised to look for the entry from the day Lucas was born. It would have details, notes, and her signature, a personal, dated account of the birth. This was the lifeline I desperately needed. It was proof, a witness, a small crack in the wall of lies Caleb had built around me. I held on to this fragile hope, praying that the old logbook held the key to reuniting me with my son. The wait was agonizing, but it was better than the emptiness of the past few weeks. The court date was looming. I knew Caleb would be there, ready to take Lucas away forever. Fear gnawed at me. What if the nurse couldn't find the logbook in time? The thought was unbearable. In a moment of sheer panic and desperation, I raced to the MRT station, the place where my nightmare had begun. I had to see my son, to hold him, to tell him that his mother was fighting for him. I saw them on the platform, Caleb holding Lucas's hand, pulling him towards the train. Lucas looked lost and scared. "Lucas!" I cried out, my voice raw with anguish. I pushed through the throng of commuters, my eyes locked on my son. "Lucas, my baby!" Caleb turned, his face contorting in anger when he saw me. He tightened his grip on Lucas and tried to pull him onto the train. "Get away from us!" he snarled. The crowd stopped and stared, a repeat of the first terrible confrontation. But this time, I didn't care about their judgment. All that mattered was my son. Just as the train doors began to beep, signaling their closure, a voice cut through the noise. "Wait! I have it!" It was Mrs. Tan, the nurse from Singapore General Hospital, holding up an old, worn notebook. She had found the proof. The climax unfolded not on the chaotic MRT platform, but in the sterile silence of the family court. Mrs. Tan's testimony was irrefutable. Her meticulously kept logbook detailed my labor and Lucas's birth, complete with timestamps and observations that matched hospital records. The truth, finally brought into the light, was powerful and absolute. Caleb's elaborate fabrication crumbled under the weight of an honest woman's testimony and the simple, factual evidence of a mother's love. The judge ruled decisively in my favor, granting me full and sole custody of my son. Justice, it seemed, had prevailed within the four walls of the courtroom. Caleb faced the consequences of his malicious actions. He was charged with perjury and falsifying documents, his reputation as a charismatic architect destroyed overnight. Yet, the court of public opinion remained deeply divided. Online forums and social media comments were a toxic mix of support for me and lingering suspicion. Some people, swayed by Caleb's initial convincing lies, still saw me as a villain. The ordeal had left a permanent scar, a painful reminder that a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. I had my son back, but I had lost my faith in the world's easy judgment. Rebuilding our life was a slow process. Lucas and I moved into a small, new apartment, far from the memories of Bedok. It was a fresh start, a blank page waiting to be filled with new, happy moments. I had my son, and that was all that truly mattered. The whispers and online comments eventually faded into background noise, losing their power in the face of my unwavering focus on Lucas's well-being. I poured all my energy into creating a safe and loving home for him, a sanctuary where no lie could ever touch us again. The world could think what it wanted. I knew the truth of my heart. One evening, as I was tucking Lucas into bed, he looked up at me with his serious, innocent eyes. "Mommy," he whispered, "you found me." My heart swelled with a love so profound it ached. I leaned down and kissed his forehead, breathing in the sweet scent of my child. "I will always find you, my love," I replied, my voice thick with emotion. "Always." In that simple exchange, the noise of the outside world disappeared. There was no court, no Caleb, no public opinion. There was only a mother and her child. Our bond forged not by documents or laws, but by a love that was pure, resilient, and true. If you are also a mother who went through similar challenging situation as me, remember you are not alone. Let's continue to move forward in life positively and support one another. Appreciate your help to click the subscribe button below. Help me to like and share this video to people around you. Thank you for your support.